Hi, in this video we will walk through the process of creating and defining relationships between the different concepts in the knowledge graph. With relationships, just like with all aspects of modeling and mapping data in Timbr, the relationships can be added to the knowledge graph by either using SQL statements, or they can be added visually without the use of code, which I will show now. The purpose of these relationships in the knowledge graph is to represent our human understanding on the connection between the concepts. The relationships in the knowledge graph allow us to traverse through the graph, traveling between the entities and connecting the data from one concept to another. This functionality is explicitly missing in relational sources, so when using Timbr, we can both express the semantic relationships between the concepts and use them to join and union data automatically. So let's begin. We'll focus now on creating a one-to-many relationship. Let's create a relationship to connect our concept person, which contains information about different people, with our concept contract, which contains information about people's contracts. We'll right-click on concept person and choose Edit Concept. In the Edit Concept window that appears, we'll go to the Relationships tab. Timbr will now offer us suggestions to automatically create relationships based on the different entities in the knowledge graph. For now though, let's create a relationship ourselves by clicking on New Relationship. We can see that Timbr enables us to create different types of relationships, whether it be a one-to-many relationship, many-to-many, or even transitive relationships. We will touch on all of these in the next videos. For now, let's continue with the standard one-to-many relationship. As we are now in our concept person, we'll choose our target concept to connect to, which of course is contract. We'll give a name describing the context of the direct relationship between a person and a contract. So let's call it has contract. Now, we'll also name the inverse relationship looking back from our target concept contract to concept person. Let's name this relationship signed by. The last thing left is to add the properties on which this relationship will be based on. So we'll choose person ID for concept person, which will match with person ID in concept contract. At this point, we can match more properties as well as create additional relationships if we'd like. But let's go ahead and save the relationship we created. And there it is. We now see the relationship has been added successfully. Let's save the changes so we can view the relationship in the model. In order to search and add our newly created relationships to the graph, as we showed in previous videos, we'll click on Relationships and choose the relationships we'd like to add. Once added, we'll click Apply. And there they are, our direct and inverse relationships connecting concept person and concept contract together. If we jump to Timbr's SQL editor where we query our data, we can take a look at how our newly created relationship really facilitates querying the data. So we'll begin by looking at our concept person as is with the virtual knowledge graph schema called Timbr. This schema exposes all the concepts in the chosen knowledge graph as virtual tables. We can see the properties we defined earlier for concept person, and we can easily query our concept with these exact properties. However, if we want to take advantage of the relationships in the knowledge graph, such as the ones we just created, we will simply change to the dTimbr schema, which is Timbr's denormalized schema that exposes the concepts together with their semantic relationships as additional properties. So when looking at our concept person now with the dTimbr schema, we not only see the concept's original properties, but we can also access the properties of contract as we defined a relationship between the two. We will copy a property from contract, for example company name, and add it to our query. We will change the schema from Timbr to dTimbr and run the query. Now we can see that Timbr automatically joined the data from person with contract to fetch the results without the need to explicitly write any join statements. At any time we'd like to debug the query and see the original query Timbr pushed down to the source, we can click on Explain and see the query. Now the magic doesn't stop there. If the concept contract had additional relationships to other concepts, we could easily use those relationships to connect our person concept data together with a non-direct concept, using contract as the connecting entity. You can imagine how easy it is now to integrate data and answer complex queries. No more joins and no more unions. In future videos, we will dive deeper and see how the relationships in the model make complex queries become simple, as well as make exploring and analyzing the data a much easier task.